Imagine raising nearly $2 billion before your product even launches. Imagine having Hollywood legends lined up to create content for you. Imagine having two of the most powerful names in entertainment and tech at the helm. Now imagine all of that vanishing in just 6 months. That is not a fictional story. That is exactly what happened to Quibi, and the way it collapsed is one of the most jaw-dropping business failures in modern history, the rise. A billion-dollar bet on the future in August 2018, Jeffrey Katzenberg, the man who co-founded DreamWorks Animation and ran Walt Disney Studios, announced something bold. He was building a brand new streaming platform. Not just any platform. This one was designed specifically for smartphones, built entirely around short videos no longer than 10 minutes each. He called it Quibi, a name derived from the phrase quick bites. His idea was simple on the surface but ambitious at its core. People were always on their phones. Commuters watched videos on trains. Workers scrolled during lunch breaks. Why not build a premium streaming service designed entirely around those stolen moments of the day? To lead the company alongside him, Katzenberg brought in Meg Whitman, former CEO of both eBay and Hewlett-Packard, one of Silicon Valley's most respected executives. Together, they assembled a team and began raising money. The pitch worked spectacularly. Before a single episode aired, Quibi had raised $75 billion from some of the most powerful companies in the world: Disney, NBC Universal, Sony Pictures, Warner Media, Goldman Sachs, and Alibaba, among others. That number alone made headlines. No streaming startup in history had attracted that kind of investment before even opening its doors. The content lineup was equally staggering. Katzenberg reportedly paid upwards of $6 million per hour of programming. The names attached to Quibi's projects read like an Academy Awards guest list: Steven Spielberg, Guillermo del Toro, Reese Witherspoon, Jennifer Lopez, Kevin Hart, and Idris Elba. The platform also boasted a proprietary technology called Turnstile, which allowed viewers to seamlessly switch between portrait and landscape viewing, with both formats perfectly framed. It felt cutting edge. It felt like the future. The buzz was enormous. Industry analysts were paying attention. Advertisers had already committed $150 million in first-year ad sales before the launch. Everything pointed toward a surefire hit. The crash, when reality hit hard. Quibi launched on April 6, 2020, and the world had just changed completely. 3 weeks earlier, the World Health Organization had declared COVID-19 a global pandemic. Cities across the world went into lockdown. Offices shut down. Schools moved online. People stopped commuting. The very audience Quibi was built for. People watching videos during their morning commute, their lunch break, their time on the go, had suddenly disappeared. The streets were empty, and Quibi's entire business premise sat on those streets, but the pandemic was only part of the problem. Deeper issues were already baked into the platform before the first subscriber signed up. Quibi had made a puzzling decision. Users could not take screenshots of the content, and they could not share clips on social media. In 2020, when platforms like TikTok and Instagram were exploding precisely because of how easily content spread from user to user, Quibi had essentially blocked the single most powerful engine of digital growth. There was no way for content to go viral. There was no word-of-mouth engine. There was no organic discovery. People could not tell their friends what they were watching by sharing a clip. For a new platform trying to build an audience from scratch, that was a fatal decision. The subscription model also created friction. Quibi charged $4.99 per month with ads and $7.99 without. In a world where YouTube was completely free and TikTok was completely free, consumers had little motivation to pay for yet another service, especially one with no ability to share its content. The 90-day free trial Quibi offered was generous, but even that failed to hook enough users. When the trial ended, people simply walked away. By the third quarter of 2020, Quibi had reached just 710,000 subscriber households. The target for the first year had been 7 million. The gap between expectation and reality was humiliating. There was also a fundamental misreading of the audience. Katzenberg and Whitman came from the world of traditional Hollywood and corporate boardrooms. They believed consumers wanted professionally produced, cinematic quality content in a compact format. But the generation they were chasing, millennials and Gen Z, had already built a deep relationship with raw, authentic, user-generated content on TikTok and Instagram. Quibi's polished productions felt stiff and corporate in comparison. The platform tried to sit between YouTube and Netflix without capturing what made either one great. It was too expensive to feel casual and too short form to feel immersive. It found itself stuck in the middle with no clear identity. Internal challenges added to the turbulence. Reports surfaced of tension between the two co-founders and their executive team over creative direction and strategy. The company also found itself in a legal battle with an interactive video developer called Eco, which alleged that Quibi had stolen proprietary technology for its turnstile feature. The lawsuit was an unwanted distraction at a moment when the company desperately needed focus. Meanwhile, the app had already fallen out of the top 50 most downloaded apps in the United States within just 1 week of launch. By early May 2020, it had dropped to 125th place. The numbers were telling a brutal story, the aftermath. What the world learned on October 21, 2020, just 6 months and 15 days after its launch, Quibi announced it was shutting down. The news sent shockwaves through the entertainment and tech industries. Around 200 employees lost their jobs overnight. Approximately $1.4 billion in investor capital was gone. In January 2021, Roku purchased the entire content library of Quibi for less than $100 million, a fraction of what individual shows had cost to produce. Katzenberg, to his credit, did not hide from the failure. He publicly acknowledged that the product-market fit had been wrong. He admitted that he had initially blamed the pandemic, but later conceded that the problems ran deeper than timing. Whitman echoed his honesty, saying they had asked people to pay for something before those people fully understood what it was. It was a rare and striking admission from two executives who had spent decades at the top of their industries. What Quibi's collapse reveals is something that no amount of money, star power, or industry prestige can override. The market does not care about credentials. It does not care about investor lists or Hollywood connections. It only cares about one thing: whether a product genuinely fits into the lives of the people it is meant to serve. Quibi was built for a world that no longer existed by the time it launched. It was designed around a behavior pattern without deeply validating that the demand was real. It blocked the very social mechanics that could have saved it, and it underestimated how much audiences had evolved. The story of Quibi is not just a cautionary tale about a streaming app. It is a lesson about arrogance disguised as ambition. It is a reminder that the biggest mistake any company can make, regardless of its size, its funding, or its fame, is assuming it already knows what people want. The brands that survive are the ones that listen first and build second. The ones that disappear are the ones that spend $2 billion finding out they never did.